Okay, welcome back everyone to the BIM Heroes 8-part webinar series on leadership for AEC. We have two objectives in this series. One is we want to use the opportunity to introduce our community to our newly elected Leadership Council for the BIM Hero DAO. And the second is our vision, mission, and purpose to develop the next generation of digital leaders for the AEC. So over the 8 weeks, we're exploring different aspects of leadership, and I want to encourage those of you who are listening to pursue our leadership development program, to develop leadership for your personal life, your career, your project teams, your business. And it's a 30-hour CPD program, so are highly recommended. But of course, as you'll probably hear throughout the series, that's just a starting point. Leadership is something that's ongoing all the time. This is part 5 of the series. Today, we're going to be talking about courageous communication. And in heroic leadership, we explore courageous communication as a vital bridge between a leader's inner integrity and their outer relational impact that they have on people around them. So more than performance or persuasion, it's really communication is the connective tissue, you could say, of trust that builds coherence and clarity and co-creation, especially in these times of uncertainty. So we have two of our Leadership Council as guests. We have Yara Oweiss, who's an architect from Luxembourg, from Atelier Architects. So you're very welcome, Yara. And we also have Andrijana Nasteska from Neras, an engineer in Denmark. So you're very welcome, Andrijana. Maybe, Yara, if you could start, just give a quick 1-minute introduction to yourself, and then Andrijana, and then we can start talking.
Well, thank you, Ralph. You just introduced me. I'm Yara Oweiss. I'm an architect, urbanist, and a BIM specialist with the Atelier Architect in Luxembourg. I'm also honored to be a Leadership Council member in the BIM Heroes DAO community. Actually, we started this webinar series of webinar to get to know each other and get you to know us better, and that we can give you also tips and advices, if we may, about the experience that we have accomplished along these years, and maybe to inspire some people to get to develop themselves and speak up and step up and be leaders in the AEC world, because we need you. Actually, it's a hard times, and we need everyone to contribute.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Andrijana, you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm very excited to be a part of this webinar together with you, Yara and Ralph. Also excited to be a part of our Leadership Council and the journey that we are already started on. It's not a beginning. It's just in the new context we are continuing. I have to correct you, Ralph. I'm not an engineer. But because it's actually quite important. I work with as an architectural technologist. So it's another nuance in the AEC industry. Although I work for a consulting engineering company, so I know exactly how they breathe and operate, but at the same time I bring something different, which I also think actually is very important in the projects, in our industry, but especially also in our community of BIM Heroes, that we bring something different from all corners of the world. So
absolutely, yeah, because information managers. Sorry about that mistake.
No problem.
I mean, information managers play a really crucial role, because you're having to communicate with so many different people, with all the stakeholders, and you're trying to get everybody to play their part and do their thing. So these are critical skills. I think compared to the first few parts of the series, which were quite theoretical, visionary leadership and resilience, this conversation is quite practical, because we're getting to to what you actually have to do when you communicate with other people. And the courageous part is about being able to say the difficult thing. Sometimes, yeah, it's very easy to walk away from a situation not having said what should have been said, and sometimes you need courage. So, yeah. Yara, for you, what's your definition of courageous communication? How would you define that?
Well, also courageous communication for me, it's saying the hard thing when it matters the most, when it's important to say it, when it's a project results or a team results depends on it. You do not have, you can't be scared to say the truth or to be nice to the team member, avoiding problems, because this will get you to a bad results. So courageous communication goes actually a little bit beyond honesty. It's not just to be honest, but also responsible. You say what you want to say, what it needs to be said, and whenever it's, even if it's embarrassing or even if it will be maybe shocking for some other people on the team, but you do what you have to do to serve the end results of the project, if we are talking about the AEC project. And you have to keep it honest, courageous, responsible, without hurting the other part, but show them that they are making maybe a mistake if in this road, and maybe asking if you can do anything to help, or give them tips to be able to reconcile with the whole concept of the problem. So it's
not easy. What you're describing there is you're trying to do a lot of things. You're trying to correct something, but you're also trying to lift somebody up. You're not trying to discourage them. You're like,
it is complicated.
Like it's definitely not the easy path. I suppose that's where the courage comes in, because the easy thing would just be to either ignore it or just say what you say and don't worry about what the impact is.
Actually, you have to worry about the impact, and you have to try to minimize the impact as much as possible. And this you can only do if you are honest and responsible and respectful in your the way you provide this maybe opinion of or how we say I don't know if I can say the word in English. It's just gone, but it's the difference between a truth as a weapon. You use it to attack the other that it's in front of you, and as an invitation to come. We are working together to get the best results. So you put the blame aside, and you're trying to work together to get the better results in the project that you have.
That's a fantastic way of saying it. Yeah, so you can use truth in two ways. You can use it as a weapon, as you say, or you can use it to seek something better. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's almost like truth as a conversation, because you're trying to find the better thing between the two opinions, maybe. Yeah, Andrijana, as an information manager, I suppose all professionals in the AEC have this problem, but you're continuously communicating with a very diverse range of people. You know, you from technicians to directors to builders, architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, project. You know, like it's just you're always dealing with a diverse range of people, a diverse range of topics, and you're sitting in the middle trying to coordinate all this all this going on, and get everybody to play their part and give their information at the right time in a way that's useful to other people. So for you, what does courageous communication do for you in this very complicated role?
I very much like the way Yara explained it. and I can really see myself in your explanation, Yara, and I just want to add to it that also in my role as an information manager in this diverse way that we need to communicate, because our projects are so diverse and people are different, right? I think we need to start also to look inward and to accept the fact that other people will also be honest. Other people that are in the projects, they will also be reluctant sometimes to give us feedback. So all of this we need to handle, and we need to be courageous when we get some feedback. Like we also need courage to accept that we actually also human and we can also make mistakes. And I find that very important in our role. And also the fact that some people read the information differently than others. And also like in a given project, we have some people who deal with the very technical part in certain software, other people that deal with maybe some other software, and also some people that are not within this technical part, but with something else like mainly project management. So we need to aim the information for the right group, right? And all of this all together done in such way like Yara explained. We need to both use the truth, but also we also need to use facts for the information flow, and also use the technology on the other hand. Make sure we don't repeat, like it's not to repeat, it's actually a wrong word. Like if I want to give away some information about deadlines, or if it's something else like very important for the project, I need to make sure that I communicate this information equally and it's the same information. So it's actually onto me the risk that something might be communicated wrongly, or maybe in some end of the project team, somebody's left out. And when this happens, then of course, feedback would always be nice. I always say this to people, like I prefer to get the feedback rather than people think, okay, she was also very busy. Maybe we are supposed to spare her from the fact that she made these mistakes. I think we can learn from that. Yeah.
Just when you were saying there about people, I was thinking often people will also be dishonest. Sometimes intentionally, they're just trying to hide the truth. Sometimes just not really that intentional, but maybe they're embarrassed or just not aware. Yeah. So you're dealing with very complicated, like when you listen to people, you have to also think that you're not always hearing the truth either. Like, sometimes we assume everybody's honest, but I think reality shows us not everybody's honest. Some people are devious. In other words, they're being deliberately dishonest, and other people are just being maybe unintentionally holding back the truth. Yeah.
And also this about giving the blame, I see it very often, unfortunately. And I think us as leaders, if we stand for this, that we actually, when we make a mistake, we take the full, and then we will show everybody else on the team it's okay. It's just more important that we don't push it over to somebody else in the chain that maybe is not present or maybe left the team or something like that. It happens every day.
Yeah. How do you encourage your team, Yara? Like you're working with people, you have to keep them encouraged, and motivated. Sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes you ask somebody to do something and they don't do it properly. And they probably know they haven't done it properly. Maybe they didn't feel motivated, or it wasn't something they were really wanted to do. Yeah, but they made a half attempt and they try to pass it off as finished. And then you have a complicated situation, because now you have to tell the person that they haven't done a good job, but you also have to motivate them to lift themselves up or try better or whatever. How do you work with your team and your in those difficult situations?
It's something, it's a little bit disturbing. When you find that one of your team member has made a mistake, you have first to ask why. Why is the mistake happen? Is it from his side, or I did not read him quite correctly? Was he not quite good for the job? How can I tell him that he did not do a good job, and why did he not do this job well? The second, if you want to really speak to him, maybe you don't go to him and you say, the way that you did this thing isn't working. It's wrong. Why did you do that? No, you just say, come, I think that I have some inconvenient results in the matter that you did. It's not working. Let's see why it's not working. Is there anything that I can help you with? Is there anything that you can't figure it out on yourself? Do you need some help? Do you need someone to get with you to, because the thing is, it's not the time now in the project to cast blames. It's the time to find a result. So we try to figure out why is this mistake happened and how are we going to get it fixed. And after that, we can do analysis and we can do maybe a check. Why is that happened? And we sit together and have an opening conversation that we can discuss together why is this happened. But we cannot in the middle of the project starting to say it's your fault. No, it's not my fault. It's his fault because he did not send me the planes. No, it's his fault because he was late in the delivery. This we will go in empty circles and we will get nothing done. So actually the courageous thing to do, I find, that to communicate that there is something wrong happened, but now let's see how to fix it, And after that, we will discuss why it happens. But that, how you communicate with your team, but you have to have, as a leader, you have to have a view of or expectation why is that happened, so you can maybe avoid it to be happened again in the same context, in the same project, because you cannot also afford to every week or every month to have the same mistake and say, yeah, it's okay, we will do this and we will fix it. So you have to think, read the team that you have and say see if there is really some points that they are not good at or some mistakes that happened there, and try now to fix this before it will come to another mistake on the road. And after that, after the project is ended, you can sit with them and describe, or you can have a conversation about the thing that went well and the thing that went wrong. And together, combining these two elements, the right and the wrong, they can feel that they have accomplished something, but they have done something that it's not quite okay. So they will have to do the things in that matter a bit better, but they have already some good points that they have to work on, and they will get it also better the next time.
Yeah, so you're building a culture, by the sounds of things, where you're allowing people to have these conversations. So you're not you're inviting conversation. You're inviting.
Yes, it's extremely important to have this conversation and to encourage people to talk, because the opposite is silent, and silent is a project killer. It kills trust, it kills alignment, it kills the project results at the end, because a little bit discomfort in the beginning can avoid a big problem at the end. So we do not afraid to talk. We do not afraid to say that it's something wrong happened, because we are human, like Andrijana said, and it's a part of our culture, nature to make mistakes. We have to embrace these mistakes, but we have to try to avoid making them again and again, because now that will be towards failing, not towards building a good team or better projects, and this will be a problem. So instead of having silent that kills your project, you have to encourage them to have feedbacks and to talk their mind in constructive way, not to destroy one another, but to construct the end results. They have all to have a goal on the end of the project, the results of the project. That it's the goal of all the team. It's the end goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just to switch gears a bit, so what you've been discussing is kind of a leader talking to their team. I want to turn it upside down now, because Andrijana, as an information manager, often you have to talk to people that aren't in your team, but maybe even, let's say, above you. I mean, like you're talking to the lead architect, somebody who's been in business for 50 years, and the project manager who's somebody who's been in business for, another 30 years. And so you've got to talk to people who are themselves in leadership positions in their own companies, but you have to be courageous enough to speak to them. And even when you don't have an official title over them, but rather you're working in their team, across their teams, let's say, how do you foster that culture of communication in that environment, sort of the bottom up, if you like?
Yeah, I feel actually that we are very privileged here at NIRAS, because one of the most wonderful thing about working here is the culture. And this culture, what you say, that it's actually kind of given to us, that we need to have the courage, all of us, to speak also from bottom up. It's a general thing in Denmark also, in the Danish culture, but especially in NIRAS, because from when I work on information management, normally on a project, there would be a project manager, which is always the head of the project. Also in the company or in the other companies we collaborate with, there would be some people, like you say, like head of project, like the project lead, in Danish projekteringsleder. And it takes courage to speak to them, but also because we have this culture at NIRAS, like a playground, we call it a playground, then we actually don't have this barrier. We are very it's very instilled in us that it's okay to come and say your opinion. So we have a small privilege there. But when it comes to that, we also have a lot of professionals that have been in the industry for many, many years when things were done much differently. And now all these changes are coming. All these changes are now even speeding up. I think that if they have a given discipline, that they have, maybe they have a leadership within a discipline in the company, but maybe they also have a leadership on the project, let's say like the HVAC discipline. And I just had a project like that when I had to deliver information regarding how we are going to do the building specifications, because they are different than what we normally do. Everything is changing, and this also changed on the project. And what I experienced was, because I had made my PowerPoint and I wanted to explain step by step how this whole thing is put together. And now the last part, specifications, we have to change the method of how we do it. And what I experienced was that the normal thing I expected, they know their business. They know exactly how this is done. And at the meeting, there was a resistance because, understandably enough, they want to deliver a good project. And why is this happening now? Like, how come this is changing the whole way I'm supposed to do my project? So actually, my PowerPoint was a bit useless, and all the information I had there didn't reach anybody. But then a couple of days later, I experienced that somehow this was anyway something that reached our colleagues, because then you go and think about it, and then we start to talk about it again. We have this conversation, the openness. I had already, let's say, taken the courage to bring this topic up. And now it's actually another story, because now somehow the questions like, oh, where can I find this if I need to do this according to our project agreement? And then I'm like, okay, I have the PowerPoint. We can go and check exactly what's there because I have all the files and links to the files, and now it works. So in a way, I think, yeah, like I said, we are privileged that we have the culture where we can freely talk to people that are our that we are subordinates to, right? It's very flat. But also we need to take into consideration that just because a person is not above us in the hierarchy, they actually have some kind of a disciplinary leadership on a given project or in the company. And this one is very tricky for me. So, yeah.
So you need courage. Yeah, so the courageous communication works both ways. I mean, you know, it's top down, bottom up, side to side. You know, like you have to. I suppose you have to. Well, to have the courage, you have to have a conviction that you have something important to say. Some, you know, and that it has to be said. I suppose that's the first part. That if you don't say it, it'll have some other negative impact. Yeah, so it's definitely not the easy thing to do. I think. And talking about easy, I suppose this is a generalization, but both of you are women who are making a significant impact in this male-dominated industry, and obviously, women are more agreeable than men. You know, men are sort of naturally more disagreeable and argumentative, and they sort of have sometimes even a false confidence. They sound very confident, even when they're not that. They don't have the knowledge or the skills. But for you as women, how does courageous communication help you to function at your leadership level in this industry? And what would you encourage other women to do?
Well, I'll give you one thing. Also, for women in the industry, if we didn't speak up, we did not end up in the industry at the first place. So the women that they build themselves to be leaders, they know when to speak up and when not to speak up, because often barriers lies in yourself. You when you say, yeah, I should I say that? Maybe I shouldn't. It's too rude. It's not quite acceptable. We tend to give us excuses not to talk or not to speak up, which is not good, and it's wrong. Especially that women has the ability to read the room more as men. They have the ability also to this intellectual or maybe emotional intelligence to read you and say and to understand what you want to say, maybe what your emotions are, and maybe get to tell you the truth in a more diplomatic way. Let me say it's not harsh, but more diplomatic, because we know how you feel, we understand that, and we want you to be better, so we encourage you. I think that women are more capable of doing that as men in this type of leadership, because as you said, men are more maybe in a professional in this line of work. They are more strict, and I think that women will make a beautiful leader because they understand both aspects of a humanity. They have also more compassion to the teams and more understanding of the private, personal, and circumstances that maybe one of your team members is going through. I'm not saying that we should be too nice, because you have also to always to set a limit where you are too nice or too harsh. But I'm saying that little bit empathy and compassion with the team is always admirable, and it's always preferable. And I think also the ability to hear criticism. It's also with women a little bit because I'm sorry, but we are used to be criticized a lot. So we are used to handle that in a more professional way, maybe, as the others. So when someone tells us something that you did like this wrong or wrong, we don't think that they just maybe that they offended us, but we think, I personally say, why did he say that? How can I be better? I don't stop at the criticism. I try to make myself better, because I want to prove to him that he was wrong, if I think that he was wrong. So we have our ways to go around thing and get things really done. So I don't want to be provocative, but I think it doesn't play a big role like it's something that it makes really a difference between men and women in this industry, but it's there, and we have to embrace our nature. So
well, I think the courage, I remember watching a YouTube video once, but it said that, you know, little boys are encouraged to have courage. I mean, they're sent to go play outside and fight with each other, and, you know, like play in the trees and the jungle gyms. So from a very young age, you
confrontation. They are used to confrontation.
Yes. Yeah. So you're quite good at the courage. So men are quite good at the courage side, but maybe not so good on the communication side. Women are very good on the communication side, because you're taught to be a good communicator, but maybe not so good on the courage side. So you really need to bring those things together so we can learn from each other, I suppose. Men can be less confrontational and less, as you say, straightforward, not thinking about how they're hurting people's feelings, etc. But then on the other side, I think women could be more courageous. So I'll give you a little example, but for the BIM Heroes community, when we put out a call each year for speakers, very few women apply, even though it's open to everybody to apply to speak. So that's I see as a kind of a lack of courage to say, like, I have something important I want to share and I want to speak. And whereas a lot of men apply, but they probably don't have much to say, but they'll apply anyway. So they have that confidence or courage. So it's just interesting to see the difference. What about you, Andrijana? What do you think? Well, how would you encourage more women to take leadership roles in this amazing industry of ours?
I think it's a topic that might trigger some people. So, I mean, again, what we say here is from our own perspective, but also, like you, Ralph, always say, it's based on our data. So now you mentioned it yourself, like when you put out for the call for somebody to speak at our community event, then it's so many women and so many men, right? So everything we actually talk about from the gender point of view is based on some data. So it's not only our own perception or feelings. But of course, like if you bring this topic in Denmark, where we have a lot of women leaders, and especially in the industry here, it would be maybe considered a little bit provocative. But we still do represent our gender, which has these challenges that you just described from childhood to now. So what I would like to say to women is that something connected to what Yara said, being fragile or representing the fragile gender is actually something we can turn to our plus, to our advantage. You explained it so well, Yara. So I think as women, we should be proud that we have that. and that we should just bring it on. I think that that's something that takes guts. It's something that, in a way, I feel that as women, we do need. No, it's I don't know. I don't want to say it wrongly that we need to be more courageous than you men. I'm not saying that, but it kind of takes more. It takes more focus for us women to accept the fact that it's not like that. The data shows something else, and that the more of us in the industry that take the effort to be courageous will change this. So it's the only way. And I think we see the results. It's much, much more women now than 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years, it's,
Yeah.
It's not a long time.
Yeah, even in our own community, I think definitely the representation is higher than the industry in general. So it's fantastic. And I think if I had to sum it up just from my own perspective, I'd say men have a sort of careless courage. Like sometimes it's the courage and the confidence is almost unfounded. They just go for it. They don't care. And women seem to be more careful and considerate, and and sometimes in a situation, that sort of carefulness and consideration is overshadowed by a careless courage. But careless courage is not good either, because it means people are doing things carelessly. And so we really do. I think what you said there, Andrijana, we really need to bring the best of both worlds together. Like we need, like particularly in this industry, it's a very important industry, and people's lives are at stake. So you can't be careless. You have to be very careful. But then you can't be so careful that you don't do anything. And and I think that's the danger, is if you're too careful and you don't say anything, and you just say, well, I'm not going to say anything, I'll just leave it. You're too nice, then it also doesn't help. So there's a balance somewhere between courage and care, and it's not an easy thing to find, but definitely women can teach us to be more careful and more considerate, and men can teach women to be more courageous, I think, if I had to say it that way. We both bring. So just let's wrap up, because we've actually got a little bit over time. But Yara, just what's your closing thought for the community? What thoughts would you give them to encourage them into courageous communication?
Well, first, as a leader, if you want people to speak up, maybe you should start with you. You speak up first. You ask the first question. For example, like maybe I'm not seeing everything here. Is that did I miss something? Can you tell me? It's humbled, and it's more like disarming way to make people open up and say their opinion to you. Like, you ask them first, you speak first, and then you hear the lower voices before the louder ones, and you give them the attention that they need, the trust that they need, the confidence that they can maybe next time speak up louder, because sometimes all what they have to say, they say it in small talks and behind backs. So if you just give them the courage to speak up and let them know that they are heard, not just the loud ones that they are rambling in the team, the whole process are important, but also their opinion, and encourage them to have feedback, maybe feedback session every week or every 2 weeks, and ask them what they think about the workflow that they are doing. Is there something that they think that they should be done better? Every opinion matters, and every thing it reflects back to you. every opinion that they say, it reflects back to you. And most importantly, to learn that disagreement is something welcomed and it's okay and it's healthy. Disagreement doesn't mean that we hate each other, and it doesn't mean that we have to attack each other. It's a conversation. It's complete normal that I disagree with you in some times or in some aspect. We have to learn to work together, and we have to learn to get the best results of my opinion or your opinion. And I think they will learn it from you, from the way you lead, and from the way they see the team react together. And it will help just the system grow, and they will relieve this discomfort at the beginning, I think. And this is the goal, to have the end result that it's satisfying. It's hard, it's complicated, it's not easy we say as we speak now, but actually small steps are enough.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done. And Andrijana, what closing thoughts of encouragement would you give?
On top of everything that Yara said, right? I think really very important for me, and I think it's important for anybody in the industry, is to keep an open mind and to embrace the whole process. Like if you're stepping out now and thinking, okay, I want to try maybe this information leadership or any kind of other leadership, or even if you are sitting at a project team and you feel that for your discipline something needs to be done, then embrace the process in that you are standing up for the whole team, that you are doing something differently, and also listen to the others. Again, if you have the responsibility at a given project or a team, spend some time to listen, to encourage this feedback that Yara was talking about, because it's the only way that you yourself can get better. And also, the nuances of providing feedback in the right manner at the right time. Also, again, Yara, so very well explained, like when do we do it? In the middle of the project, in the end of the project, there are different phases of communication there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, thank you both for this wonderful discussion. And I mean, I really like the word courage. I think for leadership, courage means a choice to take the difficult path. Like the easy path is to say nothing, to go home and complain to the dog or to your wife or your husband, when you should have said something in the situation. So it's the courage is the part that to face the problem, to deal with it, but then the compassion to deal with it in a way that doesn't make things worse. It actually makes things better. So I think it's been a wonderful discussion, and both of you are exemplars of leadership in our community. It's wonderful what you're doing, and for the community. So well done to both of you.
Thank you.
We'll meet again next week for part 6. Larry Bridgesmith will be hosting the session. It's a session on ethical leadership and ethical decision making, and so we hope you look forward to that. Thank you both, and we talk to you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.